Alright my dudes, I'm Exelia and welcome to my channel. Come in, get comfy and let's chat about cosplay. Hi, I'm Heather and welcome to my channel. Today's video, it's technically about cosplay. So today I'm going to be talking about Eurovision, but specifically Eurovision compared to cosplay competitions. I'll get into the details in a moment, but for a lot of people who are familiar with Eurovision and also familiar with cosplay competitions, there's a lot of crossover, there's a lot of comparisons, and I thought it would be fun to compare some iconic Eurovision entries and see if this was in a cosplay competition, if this was an entry, how I think it would do. Some of you may have noticed that I did come dressed for the occasion, so this is my Darthy style jumper, as you can see, nice and coordinated. I can probably lose the glasses now. If you're not familiar with Eurovision, firstly, go and look it up. It is a treasure trove of joy. Eurovision is the biggest music competition in the world. Typically, it covers the European continent, so not just the European Union. It covers anything that is on Europe as a continent. So there's a lot of countries, also Australia. The competition started in 1956 with just 7 countries participating, and as of this year, there were 39 separate countries participating and 28 made it through to the finals. Each country sends one act to the final to perform a 3-minute song. It can either be a soloist or a group of up to 6 people. Whichever country wins gets to host the competition for the following year. And this sounds awfully familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. In this video I'm going to be comparing to a number of different cosplay competitions, but the closest one to Eurovision is definitely World Cosplay Summit. So World Cosplay Summit has a lot of similarities. It started in 2003, there were 6 countries that first participated, and as of this year, there are 40 separate countries that participate and 24 of them make it through to the finals. Unlike Eurovision, the finals for the World Cosplay Summit are always in the same place, which is Nagoya, Japan. However, there are countries from all over the world that participate and come together and celebrate and do a 2.5-minute performance on stage and show off their skills to everybody, so it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. I'm not gonna just talk about World Cosplay Summit in this video because, there's a lot more competitions out there. So typically I'm gonna be comparing it against World Cosplay Summit or WCS. I'm also gonna be discussing European Cosplay Gathering or ECG, Euro Cosplay or EC, and also Clara Cow's Cosplay Cup or C4. I also didn't want to focus on just winners. I wanted to focus on some entries that didn't quite make it, some that did win, and also ones that were a little bit closer to the bottom. So I'm going to be doing these in chronological order, so we're going pretty far back for the first one. This is Bucks Fizz with Making Your Mind Up for the United Kingdom. This actually won. This is one of the few things that we're still proud of over here, so yeah, let's have a watch. It's a bold choice to wear white trousers, isn't it? At least they stand out. Just what, like 6 or 7 years after ABBA won? It is a bit budget ABBA, isn't it? Don't kill me for saying that. Oh. There it is. I love that they've got dance moves. I feel like this is possibly the most British version of dance moves there is, because there would have been so many other entries who actually know how to dance, and then you send in the UK entry and they're basically just doing a crap Macarena, and yet somehow it works. I don't really know what to say about it. It has that 80s charm. It's cute, it's quirky. Do I think this would do well at a cosplay competition? Absolutely not. Though, I've got to say, considering the time that this was done, of course it's easy to be like, oh, they could have done something much more impressive. This had never been done before on the stage. And there's definite echoes of this in cosplay performances, because there's the iconic performance from the Cupcakes in 2013 at WCS with the skirt twirl. You can't tell me this wasn't a basic version of that. The surprise of something like that happening on stage where most people would just go and sing a song and then leave. It definitely has a more performance aspect to it. It's just a bit It's a bit simple. There weren't really cosplay competitions in the early 80s. I've got to give them a bit of credit, but I don't think it would perform well on stage. Sorry, Bucks Fizz. Okay, so the next entry is also a winner, and we're jumping forward by 25 years. This is Finland, Lordi with Hard Rock Hallelujah.
Hard rock hallelujah.
The hat!
Hard rock.
Why is he wearing that?
As the moon is rising, gave us the sign. Now let us rise up in the world.
The guy on the keyboard! I love everything about this. Can't get over the guy on keyboard. He's so good. Oh, the hat's gone.
Brothers and sisters, you target the faith. On the day of reckoning,
Puns.
wins, and you will see the Joker soon will be the new kings. Wings on my back, I got thorns
Oh,
on
we
my
love a
head.
literal moment.
My fangs are sharp and my eyes are red.
Check.
Not quite an angel or the one that fell. Rock hero angels, winged on high, rock hallelujah.
Just when you thought it couldn't get better, there's just fire from everything.
Rock hero angels, winged on high, rock hallelujah. God's creation supernatural high. Hard rock hallelujah.
I think it says a lot that pretty much anyone of my generation, even people like younger than me, if you ask them what they know about Eurovision, even people who don't follow Eurovision, they're gonna remember Lordi, because it really did break the mold a bit with Eurovision, so I have mad respect for that, but it is still so good. How is it still so good? Looking at it, if this is in a cosplay competition, costumes aside, their stage presence is incredible. You can tell these guys are totally organised. Like, they're up at 2 AM, they've got all their own pros aid, they know where all their prosthetics are, they've each got a helper, they've got straws in all their drinks, everybody's helping out, everybody knows exactly where they need to be and doing what they need to do. If you have that kind of energy, you're gonna do well no matter what competition you're in. What I love about this is that everything is weird, so it works. And this is a really common thing in Eurovision. Like, if everything is weird, it's not weird at all. Like, the weirdest thing about this was when he was wearing the Finland hat. And it's not just the performance, like, the song is incredible as well, because it's a good song. It stands the test of time. And it's memorable, it's fun, it's upbeat, it's got puns galore, which, who doesn't love a good pun? It's just... it's so good. If these guys rocked up to a cosplay competition, I can guarantee they would win. Or at least they would place very, very high. Also, on that note, one of my friends actually did a performance to this and she qualified for Euro Cosplay with it. And even though she didn't perform to Lordi at the final, she won the final for Euro Cosplay. So think of that what you will. Anyway, let's move on. This entry came second. This is 2007, the Ukraine, with Verka, Seduchka and Dancing Lasha Tumbai. I should have made a star for this. I can't get over the tights. Of all things, I find the tights ridiculous. Little shimmy. Oh my god! The back! Seduchka 69. I mean, I've just said that everybody remembers Lordi, but I would go so far as to say everybody remembers Verka Seduchka just as much. And I find it wild that this got second place. Part of me is outraged that they didn't win, but I'm also like, how did this get to second place? But it's more of the same, isn't it? It's like everything is so ridiculous, so it's totally fine. Like, it doesn't matter what's happening on stage. It doesn't matter that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter that it's just a bit of fun. Everybody loves it. Everybody remembers it. It's so ridiculous in the best possible way. If this was in a cosplay competition, I don't know which way it would go, because I think technically the song is kind of awful. And as much fun as it is, this would be the equivalent of like, oh god, I don't want to be shady, using only party fabrics on like a championship costume, which isn't a bad thing, but it's one of those things where it's like, you didn't really care, you just wanted to have a good time. Does that make sense? I don't know a better way to put it. So I don't think that the song, if it was a costume, would do that well, but I do think the performance, like, there is no way this wouldn't win an audience award. There's no way, like, if this was WCS, that this wouldn't win, like, the Nico Nico Doga award and be a favourite for the audience, because it's just so wild and so ridiculous. And even if it doesn't do that well with, like, the jury and the judges, it will definitely win the audience. Okay, so this is the same year, this is 2007. This entry came 22nd, and I know it's a little bit of favouritism, it's another UK entry. This is Scooch with Flying the Flag. Oh, this came directly after Verka's Seduchka, oh dear. No wonder it didn't do so well. You gotta hand it to them, the staging looks great. You can tell it's the UK entry at least. Those uniforms. I feel like I should make one of those uniforms eventually. You know what we're saying about Bucks Fizz with like the equivalent of dancing the Macarena versus people who can actually dance? This is what I'm talking about. Of course there's Bucks Fizz. You gotta give them props for being in a queue on stage as the UK entry. And all the double entendres. Now there's no need for that. We love a moving set. Ooh. Oh man.
We'd like to thank you for flying with us today.
I know it didn't do that well, but I love this. I love this. I feel like it's maybe a bit too British and that's its downfall, because it's so bold and funny and memorable, and it's got the British colours everywhere and it's got innuendos aplenty, but maybe it's a bit too British humour and it's just fell a bit flat. I mean, nobody cares, it's what, like 14 years later. Just for me personally, I'm like, I can't understand how this did so badly. I can't understand it. I love that there's aeroplanes on everything, that they've got like the stupid little paddles and they're doing all the movements and the motions. It's like, it's the perfect amount of cheesy and I just love it. I really feel like they used the staging well, because they used everything. They used the floor, they used all the display screens, they used it to such a good capacity, and they had set pieces. As someone who has judged a lot of cosplay competitions, having a functional prop or a set piece or something that you can interact with on stage is so important, because having something that just sets a scene is fine, but if you then interact with that set piece and it becomes a part of the performance, it takes a performance to the next level. So the fact that everything on this, even the two women stood up at some point, actually really sets the scene for this, so I give them kudos to that. If this was at a cosplay competition, I don't think it would win anything, but looking at it critically, you've got the stage performance, which I think is really good. It's enjoyable. And you've got the song, which is, I'm gonna say the song isn't terrible, but it's the equivalent of if you have a performance in English and then you need to translate it to Japanese and you translate it very literally, things are gonna get lost in translation and it's going to be harder for an audience to understand. As much as I love it, I'm allowed to love it because I'm from the UK, but I don't think it would necessarily go well with every single audience, but I do think those who enjoy it are going to absolutely love it. Moving forward a few years to 2015, this is the winner for Sweden. This is Måns Zelmerlöw with Heroes.
Don't tell the gods I left a mess, I can't undo what has been done. Let's run for cover.
The staging on this is perfect.
Like there is no tomorrow, son. And tell the others to go sing.
I mean, how is a man sitting on a box so impactful?
We are the heroes of our time, but we're dancing with the demons in our minds. We are the heroes of our time, heroes.
The rehearsals for this. I don't know how a guy in a white t-shirt and leather pants manages to just captivate the audience, but he does. Okay, that's a bit creepy. The little dude. He's so cute. I feel like this is a polar opposite to what I've just said about Scooch, but the staging on this is perfect. And the way he's dressed, I know I poke fun at, you know, t-shirt and leather pants. Leather pants are a choice. If he was wearing anything more interesting, it would distract from the performance, and I think that is such a good choice that it's just, right, get up there, do your thing and do it flawlessly. I can't even begin to imagine how many rehearsals that took, because it's one guy and he's interacting with everything flawlessly. And all there is on the stage is basically him and one box at the back and a microphone. So the timing, perfect. And the song, I don't even know where to start with this, because there is so much that you can say about this, because it's not I'm a hero, it's we are the heroes. It's inviting the audience to feel part of the performance. It's just combines such a simple concept that people can relate to with just Swedish pop magic, and it works. If this was in a cosplay competition, I think it would still do really, really well, because there is so much happening in this, but it's so easy to understand because of the way everything is framed. So for the performance, you've got the use of basic colours. So it starts off with mostly black and white, little bits of red are thrown in. It starts off with a lot of gimmicks on the screen, but it doesn't overuse that. There's breaks from, oh look, I'm doing something with the screen, to I'm now singing the chorus and you are looking at me. I am the only focus. And then it goes back to a little bit of a gimmick, and then it goes back to this is the end of the song, everybody look at me. And it's so good. And I know I've said that for a lot of the different entries, but it is so, so good. And watching it now, it is just as captivating as it was the first time I saw it. So the next entry is 2019. This criminally came 6th. This is Norway with KEiiNO and Spirit in the Sky.
Can't you stay with me into the now? Stay, I need you close. You can go back when the sun rises again. Just stay tonight, just stay.
Her voice is so good. This guy. This performance has everything. It's taking all my willpower not to go wild. I love this guy. The techno Norway energy of this is just perfect. I remember when this first aired and people were like, oh my god, it's a modern day Aqua. And let me just be clear, I love a bit of Aqua. Even though I don't think it's necessarily the same kind of thing, I definitely get that kind of energy from this, where it's like you have such an interesting dynamic where you have the strong, powerful female voice, you've got the guy who's sort of singing the main verses, and then you've got the little bit of flavour. It doesn't matter what he's singing, it doesn't matter what language it's in, it just adds to the atmosphere. This, of all entries, feels the most like a cosplay performance to me because it has the rise, the fall, and then the rise again all the way through it. Everyone is dressed in a really particular chic silhouette that doesn't distract from the staging, that basically tells a story around them. The fact this has so much energy woven through it, and the performance on stage without saying anything tells a story, is so interesting. Another thing I love about this is that it's so hype. There is so much energy in this performance. The performers, for the most part, are stood in single places on stage. Like, there's little bits of walking around, but they mostly stay in single spots. It's the staging and the backdrop that is creating the energy and the momentum of this track, and it's just... it's so satisfying. It's so hype. I feel like I've gushed about this enough, but if it was a cosplay performance and if it was in a cosplay competition, I feel like there is no way this wouldn't do well, because it has that balance of the rise, the fall, and then the rise again, which is so popular and so good in a cosplay performance, because you need a little bit of, this is the exposition, oh my gosh, there's a bit of drama, everything's worked out in the end. And that is what this performance feels like. It's what it sounds like, it's what it feels like. I have listened to this for inspiration so many times when it comes to cosplay performances, because I want the energy this song has. I want this energy, this palpable energy, to be in my next performance. The last two entries are from this year, so 2021, and I've picked these for a particular purpose. The first entry, this one came second overall. This is France with Barbara Pravi and Voilà. I'm probably not going to say a lot during this one.
Et de son rêve fou. Moi, ce que je veux, c'est écrire des histoires qui arrivent jusqu'à vous. C'est tout. Voilà, 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 voilà qui je suis. Me voilà, même si mise à nu c'est fini. C'est ma gueule, c'est mon cri. Me voilà, tant pis.
I don't know if it's just because of the restrictions for this year, but this performance feels so personal. Every time I watch this, I get chills like it's the first time I've seen it. I don't want to compare these two because I don't think they are the same by any means, but I can definitely get a vibe that is similar to Man's performance for Heroes with this, because she is dressed in such a simple outfit that it doesn't distract from anything that she's doing on stage, whereas if she was there in a great big ball gown, I feel like that would almost detract from the performance and her body language. It's definitely a conscious choice to have her in something that is quite minimal and quite chic, and also just very, very French. I chose this entry specifically because it has big ECG energy to me, because the way she captivates your attention and every motion that reacts to something else in the staging is almost like an extension of her body, an extension of her performance. It's so easy to be distracted by other things that are on stage, but in this performance, she is the stage. And I just find that fascinating. If this is in a cosplay competition, considering the staging and the performance is one part, and the song is the entry or the costume equivalent, the song is so easy to understand, even if you don't understand exactly what's happening, you understand the emotion and the feeling that is behind it. So I have no doubt that this would do well. I feel like if this was in a solo category in something like ECG, then it would absolutely sweep the floor. Okay, so the final entry, this is also from 2021. This came 18th overall, and this is Norway's entry. This is Tix with Fallen Angel. I know one person who adores this, and one person who despises this. Let's go.
What can I say? I can't make her stay when I know that she's so.
There's so much going on. All my demons, all four of them. His whole outfit is just a choice. Love a bit of fire. But is it necessary? The chains, they do nothing. I've got to say, I really like this song and his voice is really, really good. Like, it's just kind of pop trash, but I like pop trash. But this performance is so much. Okay, I don't want to be mean about this because I like this performance, I like this guy. He seems fun, he seems quirky, he seems like the sort of guy that if I was backstage at a cosplay competition, I would want to kick back with him and like have a couple of drinks and just, you know, have a good time. So no disrespect to him or any of the performance or anyone else I've discussed here. But I feel like this is the Eurovision equivalent of making something Sakazo and entering Euro cosplay, where you're wearing so much stuff and so much is going on that you can't move and you can't do anything. There is so much happening in this performance and it really detracts from the song because you don't really know what to focus on. There's so many different beats in the track itself that it's like, it's not hard to focus on because it's pop, but there's a lot happening all at once that you almost don't know where to direct your senses to. That's what this performance gives me. And compared to the previous performance, it's just night and day with regards to how they command the staging and your attention. So it's just so interesting seeing this and then being like, yep, this feels like Euro cosplay. And again, like, no shade to Euro cosplay, no shade to Tix, I think he's great, but it's just, it's funny. Though I must say, the energy he's channeling with all of that bling and then like the big fluffy East 17 style coat, like I'm kind of living for it. I just wish it was used differently. If this was on stage for a cosplay competition, I really don't see this doing that well. I can see it being impressive and when you explain it and you break it down, it's impressive, but on first glance it would just be like, I don't know what I'm looking at. So there we have it. Those are my thoughts on some iconic Eurovision entries and some more recent ones, and comparing them, if they were part of a cosplay competition, how I think they do. For me personally, I have judged a number of different international qualifiers and also I am an avid cosplay competition follower. So comparing something like Eurovision to cosplay competitions has actually been quite eye-opening. I mean, I've always made a comparison between the two, but having a look at them directly and thinking, that really works on stage, that doesn't work on stage, and considering the similarities and the differences has been really, really fun. Considering how long Eurovision's been going, starting with 8 entries is very, very small, but I wanted to start with the ones that came to mind first. So if there's any others that you'd like to hear my comments on, I would be down to do another version of this, or if you just want to hear a quick thought, pop it in a comment below. If you like this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up because that really, really helps. And if you haven't already and you would like to stick around for some more cosplay chatter in the future, make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. As always, thank you so much for joining me and I will see you very, very soon.